Hello, what's happening, everybody? We're back for another episode of Cooking with Frag. We're doing our second mystery basket of the Cooking with Frag series. Thank you to everybody that I'm sure gave me wonderful ingredients to work with. I have no idea what's underneath that towel, but I had to make the best meal I possibly can using all of the ingredients that are underneath the towel. Let's hop right in and see what we got. Thank you to those that do support the Patreon to make this possible. All right, that's not so bad. Maybe. Looks like we have pickled ginger, sourdough bread, tomatillos, potatoes, and smoked salmon. Alrighty then. First thing I'm going to do here is figure out what the hell I'm doing. But to start that, I want to see how acidic these tomatillos are. Alright, let's do this. So tomatillos usually like made into salsa verde, but I want to see if I can use them raw or not. Alright. That is friggin' tart. Good though. Alright, sourdough bread's pretty straightforward. Let's see what the taste on this pickled ginger is. In fact, let's do this. Okay. It's not too bad, actually. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit stumped right now. We'll figure it out, though. The smoked salmon's definitely the real tricky one here. Smoked salmon has a really potent flavor to it. So, alright, I got an idea. So the tomatillos and pickled ginger go really well together, and the pickled ginger actually goes surprisingly well with the smoked salmon. So I think we're going to try to make a fresh salsa out of the tomatillos, pickled ginger, and a couple other spices, maybe some tomato in there for a little smoothness. These are incredibly tart when they're raw. Kind of like a Granny Smith apple is kind of how I describe it. Well, while we're hashing this out in our head, let's get some stuff chopped. Not gonna lie, I was expecting a little bit worse, but there's definitely some curveballs in here, no question. So my experience in Mystery Basket, we did the one with Cooking with Frag. This was also my final test for culinary school as a Mystery Basket. Definitely more intense than this, but it was still a huge challenge. Anytime you're throwing random ingredients, you don't know what you're going to be cooking. You got to find a good balance. So the first thing I did was tested the acid content of the tomatillos to see if I could do something a little fresher with that. Smoked salmon's really heavy. It's got that really smoky flavor. So we're going to want something to cut through that. Alright, that should be enough for the fresh salsa. We're going to go kind of like a weird pico de gallo, I guess, is what we're trying to do here. Alright, so we got tomatillos chopped. In fact, I should get these potatoes cooking off soon because we want to get a nice brown on those. I think we're just going to kind of do a hash with the potatoes. We're going to add some smokier flavors, maybe some paprika and chili powder to go with the smokiness of the salmon, and then try to have the fresh salsa cut through that. We'll see how it tastes. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys if it doesn't taste good at the end. What a challenge, though. Great choices of ingredients. I thought for sure I was going to get some really weird meat. And smoked salmon is pretty weird to work into a meal, but it's no ostrich or some other weird game. All right, so now we're going to get a pan on with a little bit of oil to start frying these potatoes. We're going to use a longer pan here so we can get a little bit more coverage on the potatoes. All right. Where is oil? There it is. All right, I'm gonna use about a tablespoon and a half there. We don't want the, we actually want the potatoes to be pretty greasy here, because there's not going to be much fat content in the smoked salmon or anything else that we're doing. I don't know what spice we're going to need here, my goodness. Garlic powder, probably not. Regular salt, not mushroom salt for the salsa. We'll get some salt onto these tomatillos to start them leaking some liquid too. Looks good. All right, I'm going to turn this flame down real quick so we don't start a fire when I forget to add the potatoes. Let's grab onion and tomato. So when I core a tomato, what I do is I put my thumb at the edge of the knife, so this is how deep it's going to go into the tomato, and then turn the knife very gently. I'll keep my hand out of the way. If you run into a tomato, sometimes they're going to have more ripe spots, so if you're pushing too hard, you can cut through and hit your hand pretty bad. So the tomatillos are super tart like a Granny Smith. The tomatoes definitely have acidity, but they're going to be a little more smooth. So we're just going to mix these in here to get some of the tomato juice in there and also calm down the acid content on our fresh salsa. Trying to figure out how I want to plate it and how I'm going to mix everything together. We have like a half of a plate formed in my head here. Got to get something to bind it all together. All right. I've always loved cooking like this. I generally wing it when I cook, so I just look at what we have in the fridge and try to make the best out of it. This is definitely not stuff we commonly have in the fridge, but it's okay. We're going to go really small on the dice here. I can already smell this onion is pretty strong, so we want to go for definitely a smaller dice since we're using it raw inside the salsa. There we go. That should be enough for the salsa. Then we'll also chop up a couple to throw into the potatoes once they're cooked. All right, how's our oil looking? Pretty hot. A little too much oil. All right, we got our first thing in the pan here. Nice little sizzle on that. Nice. Temperature's good then. All right, we're just going to baby these for just a second to make sure they're not going to stick to the pan on us. Does not appear they're going to. Okay, potato, potato, potato. Now let's work on the salsa a little bit. We're going to mix it up, taste it, and then start seasoning. So all we've added to this so far is salt. Now, I don't think we're going to have to add any lime or lemon because the tomatillo has such a high acidity content. Yeah, it's really good. Going to add just a little bit of cumin to this and a little bit more salt. Actually, we're going to forego the salt since the smoked salmon is so salty. I'm also going to undersalt the potatoes for that very reason. Just a little bit. Alright, this chunk of onion can go in there. Let's move this to the side. Let's mix this up and taste one more time. Definitely didn't need any more acid in it. So pico de gallo is generally onion, tomato, cilantro, salt, lime juice. Okay, I'm going to break off a piece of the salmon here, eat that with the salsa, and see where we're actually at. We're going to want to dice this ginger super small. Alright, we're going to add about half of this to the salsa, taste again, and then see if we need to add any more. So generally when you're making something from scratch, you haven't made it before, you want to add one piece at a time and continue to taste it to see how the flavor profile changes. Wow, that's really good. I maybe wouldn't have added the cumin next time, but I think with the potatoes and the salmon, it will actually work out pretty good. But I think we could have done without that. All right, I see our potatoes are getting a little bit brown on the bottom. Fantastic. Going to drop our heat a smidge. I'm seeing a little bit of smoke happen on top of the pan, which that means potential fire. All right, let's see what else we got in the pantry here. We got fennel, avocado. Avocado would be real good in there. In fact, we're going to need a creamy element, but what we're going to do is actually use this avocado raw. Yeah. All right, we're actually going to cut this into a quarter, and then we're going to slice the best looking piece into small little slivers. We're going to pull this out with a spoon later, but I think this is definitely going to need something a little fatty and creamy to cut through the smoke and cut through the salsa a little bit. All right, so that's set up for later. Get the lid back on our ginger here. All right, turn down my heat too much. All right, we're going to add paprika to these potatoes. Paprika's got a really nice kind of earthy, smoky tone to it. We're not going to add very much. We've already added a little bit of salt to those too. What else can we add in there? I think chili powder is going to be the go. I initially thought that I could maybe make like a coconut sauce regardless of what I got, but it's definitely not going to work here. Whoops. So we're starting to get a nice brown on the potatoes. They'll look even browner since we added that paprika. I got a spoon here. All right, the potatoes are still crunchy, but the flavor on them is really nice. If I was just eating the potatoes, I'd be adding a lot more salt than I did. So we're going to let those brown one more time on one side, then I'm going to add the onions into that. Paprika does taste good on egg salad and a lot of other things. Let's go ahead and tidy our workstation here. Getting a little bit messy. We got our salsa prepared, and I think once that sits and absorbs that ginger flavor, it's actually going to get better. Let's get a piece of the smoked salmon that actually looks decent and will be an appropriate size for the other stuff we're putting on the plate. All right, smoky. Let's go ahead and rip that skin off. All right, where's our best cut here? So this is the rib cage side. This is the fillet side. We just cut a little bit off here. Can take this chunk. Yeah, there we go. Get that back on ice. All right, what else we got going here? Potatoes are cooking. We're going to add onions to the potatoes. Do I want to add any more ingredients into this? I don't think mushrooms will work. Fennel could, but I think the fennel might overpower everything. You know what this needs? Some garlic. Let's try to get this done before our potatoes get too browned. Whoa there. Oh yeah, I got that bread too. Oh my goodness. Okay. Can't forget the bread. See, it's my fault here. If I would have cut it better to begin with, this whole process would be much easier. Okay. Alright, those potatoes look and sound awesome. They sound like they're crunchy when they're rolling around the pan. Now we're going to add the onion, which will add a little moisture content. This should not make the potatoes soggy, but it will deglaze the pan of all that stuff we got burnt onto there. Add our garlic now. And hey, we got a good opportunity to clean our cutting board here. Alright, I gotta turn the heat down on this, otherwise the garlic's gonna brown, and if the garlic browns, then we have burnt flavor throughout the dish. Burnt garlic is one thing you just can't cover up. If you burn your garlic, there's no recovery. Now there is brown garlic sauces, and those are very good, but if you actually burn the garlic, you're gonna have a really mediocre time. Okay. So let that chill there for a minute. I'm actually going to add just a smidge of water. And by a smidge, I mean like literally a spoonful. So we made a nice little hash with the potatoes, onion, garlic, paprika, and salt. Burnt garlic's only on a pot roast. There you go. There's a lot of sauces that require you to brown garlic, and if you take it about 1 second over browned, you're going to have a really bad time. Okay, I got to figure out this bread. I am going to take this piece of bread and get the prettiest piece I possibly can. We're going to cut off the end here. Actually going to get a nice, pretty thick square. Cut off the crust. Okay. Bread. I could live off of just bread if it was healthy, but it's not. All right. Now we're going to take, I want an egg pan. Yeah. I'm going to pull these off to the side now. We're going to add a pan here, and I'm going to load this up with quite a bit of butter. Fridge. Yeah, we have a sourdough starter going right now. We're still trying to perfect the recipe for the sourdough bread, but it's been turning out pretty good. That is more butter than I will normally use in anything, but this is the special exception. So, for the components of this dish, we got something smoky, we have something salty, we have something acidic. We don't really have anything that sweet, though you could count the tomatillos as being pretty sweet. I don't think it needs a fruit element by any means. It's definitely more of a savory dish. But smoky, salty, creamy should go together pretty well. I'm going to give these potatoes a quick taste to see where we're at. I want to make sure the flavor profile is where I imagined it. Definitely going to need a little more salt on that. Even with the smoke on the smoked salmon, that's just not salty enough for potatoes. You'll have a really hard time over salting potatoes, but it is possible. Oh my god, that's so much butter. It's beautiful. So now that we have this liquid pool of butter in our pan, I'm actually going to kind of soak the bread. A little bit on each end here. A little bit on this side. And we're going to flip it over and crank up that heat. So we're going to kind of make a brown butter crouton here out of the sourdough. Should be pretty darn tasty. Alright, now that we've added salt to the potatoes, we're going to taste them one more time. I'm telling you guys, tasting your food is the most important skill to have in cooking. Taste, retaste, and taste again. Alright, components for plating. We have these 2 spears of smoked salmon. We have the tomatillo, tomato, onion salsa with cumin. We have pickled ginger in there as well. So we actually want this to get quite crispy. The reason I cut it a little thicker is we also want it to be still soft in the middle. Open a restaurant? No thank you. There is a reason I got out of kitchens, because I had no desire to ever be a chef. I truly do love food, and I'm very passionate about it. But cooks are generally very overworked and very underpaid. Alright, so we got some nice brown butter in the bottom of the pan now. Oh, look at that beautiful brown. Okay, I need to turn my heat down. There's smoke. That is definitely what we were looking for, though. Do you lose anything from spitting it out? I always swallow when I taste stuff, but if you're worried about calories, you definitely can spit out your food after you taste it. Sure. I actually work with a chef that did that. Okay, I just want to make sure that I got all of the ingredients for my mystery basket set, and we're also going to sear the edges of this. God, that brown butter looks amazing. Worry about getting full. I mean, you're really only taking small spoonfuls, but actually, a lot of the reason a lot of chefs and cooks are overweight is from tasting the food. You get a lot more calories than you think over the course of a day tasting. All right, cool. We got a nice little crispy yet soft crouton. Let's make sure we used everything in the mystery basket. We got potatoes. We got pickled ginger. We got tomatillos. We got the bread in there. Tomatillos. Yeah, that's everything. Let's make a nice looking plate, shall we? All right, we're going to go ahead and use... I'll use this plate. Still very hot. Actually, how should this sit? I'm going to cut this into a different shape. And yes, I will try this on stream here. Make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah, it's much better. So my only concern here is I think it may be too much smoked salmon on the plate, but I think everything is going to work together. Nice little crispy sourdough crouton. And then we're going to take the tomatillo salsa here. And drop that right there. I'm going to kind of try to keep it away from the toast a little bit. This is kind of like a fancy breakfast, to be honest. All right, now we have our avocado that we pre-sliced earlier. I'm going to spoon that out. Take about 4 pieces. And then fan those out. All right, let's clean up our cutting board and taste this. All right, so what we have here is smoked salmon with potato hash with paprika. We have a toasted sourdough crouton, avocado, a tomatillo salsa with cumin, tomatoes, onions, and pickled ginger. I'm going to grab myself a fork and dig in. So I want to eat this on stream so I can talk about what I would have done differently next time, or if something doesn't work. I like to be totally honest about my food. I'm going to get a little bit of everything in here in this bite. Wow, that's actually really good. Something I would have changed next time is I would have added like maybe a little bit of garlic to the toast. Definitely would have used like 2 pieces of salmon instead of 4. The salmon's overtaking the salsa a little bit, so there's too much salmon on the plate for everything. But if you get a good bite with just a little bit of everything on the fork, it is really good. Or you can do that. Also, quite hard to eat, but that's all right. I would say that's definitely a winner. Yeah, a little bit less salmon next time and a little bit more seasoning on the toast is the only 2 things I think I would change. So to start off there, I figured out the acid balance versus what else we had for protein, and we kind of based our dish from there. So we knew we had a really smoky, intense flavor with the smoked salmon, so I went with something very acidic, the salsa, to try to cut that down. And we also went for something creamy with the avocado, and the bread was also creamy because of all that butter I infused into the bread. The potatoes we kept very undersalted, knowing that the smoked salmon was very salty. We just want to get a nice crisp on those with some onion and garlic. A little bit of paprika for that earthy flavor. Given the ingredients at the time, I think we did pretty good. Thank you all for your amazing suggestions for the mystery basket. I look forward to doing mystery basket number 3 when the time comes. I truly do love doing these, and you're all amazing. Thank you for your input and support. The stream will return on Monday around 7 p.m. Pacific. Until next time, keep it dapper and be good to each other. That's all I got for tonight. Frag out. I'll hang out here and answer a few questions anybody has, food questions. Just do it, Jimmy. Grab all the stuff out of your fridge and start experimenting. You'll be pleasantly surprised with some of the stuff you come up with. Some of my best meals have been due to I needed to get stuff out of my fridge. Hey, what's up, Polygon? Great to see you. 37 months, Polygon. Thank you. Thank you, Abstract Punctuations, Spectral Fury, and that Shad Kid. Much love, guys. Shad Kid, if you're here, if you want to be added to the Subscriber Hall of Fame, I'd be happy to add you. Where can I buy a good chef's knife? You can honestly buy a good chef knife off of Amazon. We have this gifts list that has my knives. I've been using Global Knives for a long time. Very much recommend them. All right, Shaq, I'll add you as soon as the broadcast is over here. I don't enjoy foie gras. It's too potent of a flavor for me, you knows. Do you think a tartare would work with those ingredients? Combine the salsa and the salmon into one plate? Well, tartare would technically be raw, but I think if you're going to do a raw preparation, I actually think that would work pretty well with like a salmon tartare, but you'd have to nix the potatoes in that case because it would texturally really mess it up. The first mystery box is on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/LethalFrag or do !CWF in the chat, which I'll type in right now. And that has the documented list of all the Cooking with Frag episodes. Yeah, if you want cheap chef's knife, just go to like a wholesale restaurant warehouse. It's a great idea. You can pick up a quick knife. If you want a knife you're going to be using for a decade, you might as well splurge and spend the $80 on a Global. All right, have a great one, Shad. Thank you all again for watching the Mystery Basket. The VOD will be up shortly if you missed it or you're a little bit late, as well as this episode will always be uploaded to YouTube after. The smoked salmon was on ice to keep it cool, tip hook, because anytime you have a protein, whether it's smoked or raw or whatever, it's best to keep it cold. Hey, cool, Jibba Jabba. I'm really glad to hear that. Yes, smoked salmon hash with a really acidic tomatillo salsa. It actually turned out, I gotta say, way better than I expected. Preferred oil is usually vegetable for me, Tin. Depends on the preparation, though. I have not cooked a Scotch egg in 8 years, Derringer Lord. I couldn't even tell you how to properly cook a Scotch egg right now, to be honest. What'd you name this dish other than Mystery Box? I don't know, man. It's a pretty weird combo, to be honest. Fancy man's breakfast. There you go. Smoked salmon with a potato hash and a acidic tomatillo salsa. What was in my basket for my final test? I think I had grouper, some fresh fruit. I had ribeye, which is actually decidedly hard to cook. A whole bunch of random spices and vegetables. Weetabix, thank you for keeping it dapper, dude. Appreciate the 25 consecutive months, dude. Well, all right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. You're all awesome and amazing. Thank you for watching. Look forward to doing it again on Monday. Keep it dapper, everybody.